Good afternoon, everyone, especially to our professor, Ma'am Liwi Waligman. Our assigned topic is about the travel writing theory. But before I start, let me introduce my group mates. And they are Abigail Betonio, Angie Crismay Ursus, Pinky Rose Lagura, Nadine Nunog, and lastly, me, myself, and I, Abigail Alejo. So, our research topic concludes two research titles, and they are the theory and the limits of travel, theoretical and methodological signs of progress in social media, and their influence on tourism. The next report will be reported by Abigail Betonio.
And now we are here in the first discussion, the executive summary on the first research, the theory and the limits of travel. Travel books and travel blogs are taken into consideration right here as intermediate transpositions that recognize a not unusual place regularly occurring an epistemological matrix or the travel writing. So the intermediate transposition is a time period whose conceptual validity need to be assessed in terms of different notions, namely transmediality and remediation. So according to Henry Jenkins, 2006, the flow of context material via more than one media platforms. In different words, transmediality depths for the distribution of text numerous media. Concerning the formal issue of tour writing. More mainly, the tested issues of ending a usually received definition of tour writing may be disentangled through recalling Caroline Miller's words that "an know-how of style can assist as cannot for the manner we come upon, interpret, react to, and create precise text." So that's the first executive summary for the first research. On the next slide for Pinky's Lagura, talk about the second research executive summary.
Today, tourism is subdivided into large international and domestic branches. In this way, having a considerable impact on the development of the economy is different regions. Therefore, it provides a vast range of challenging and interesting topics and ideas to discuss and evaluate. You should remember that the topic should be narrow to ensure you can develop it properly, provide the reading audience with all the related information, and make comprehensive and conclusion of the points. Besides, it is necessary for a student to ground research on reliable sources and use facts and pieces of evidence as support materials. Moreover, the paper should be written according to the instruction of the professor and contain citation of the materials used. Besides, it is necessary for a student to ground research on reliable sources and use facts and pieces of evidence as support material. Written according to the instructions of the professor and contain citation of the materials used. As a result, conducting research for the tourism research paper allows learning a lot of cap- captivating information about tourism in different countries. Discover different types of tourism, witness its sufficient economic and social influence on the local and international communities, and use related facts and figures found in reliable sources. The next reporter will be the objective of the study.
The objective of the study, it includes four of it. First is to study the intermedial transposition and discover how the touchdown of tour narratives on extraordinary medial formats, how the book and the blog as extraordinary medial formats interpret the rhetorical function of the tour writing genre. Next is to recognize what volume the nosological and cross-cultural potentials of tour writing as a praxis of knowledge and suffering from the system of transposition. Next is to clarify the relationship of needs, wants, and motives to tourist motivation. And lastly is to be acquainted with the characteristics of travelers based on the purpose of travel. So the next reporter will be Nadine Nonog.
Theories use. Theories and explanation. The theories one is Routledge's Encyclopedia of Narrative Theory. The explanation is the encyclopedia follows the standard A to Z of the field, ranges of relevant technical terms, concepts, and genres, covering as well as history of field, various school approaches, major theories, important debates, and the full range of disciplinary contexts in which narrative figure prominently. The second theory is meta- metamorphosis of travel writing across theories, reflect to a fast-growing field of travel writing studies. 25 papers of comprises of rely on a variety of theoretical and methodological approaches and explore a diverse body of travel writing texts created over the last 300 years in English, Polish, Hungarian, and French. The third theory is social media as a supporter, regardless of what adds a specific destination to an individual bucket list. The contents shared on social media can remind the viewer about a destination and support his/her need and desire to travel there finally. The last theory is social media guide. Social media guide also work as a guide for tourists with a purpose of finding places to visit and things to do at the destination. This year occurs in the information search and evaluation stage of tourist decision making. So the next reporter will be analysis strategy to Abigail Bitonio.
So here for this slide, discussing about the analysis strategies. So this that present the analysis and interprets the data gathered in order to draw out important information and significant points about the two research. First, the theory and the limits of travel, and the second one, the theoretical and methodological signs of progress in social media and their influence on tourism. So, for the clarity and consistency in the discussion, the data are presented by narration, and this is used also the strategy of multimodal critical discourse analysis MCDA is that analysis strategy used to assess first the how the book and the blog as different media formats interpret the theoretical features of the travel writing genre, and the for the second how the process of transpositions affects the genealogical and cross-cultural potentials of travel writing as a praxis of knowledge. So next, the key findings.
In these regards, it is feasible to argue that these travel blogs do not effectively represent an alternative to travel books, nor do they serve as an effective source of information. Rather, they are writing that supports the country's image as a tourist destination. On the other hand, social media are acknowledged as an important information source that influence tourist travel choice. However, qualitative studies that take our inductive approach to identify the rules of social media by investigating how social media affect travel choice are limited. The theoretical and practical implication along with future research suggests are discussed. And that would be all. Thank you.
So for the last part, here are the references of our research. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening, everyone.